joining us from Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade welcomes you all for this prestigious event on World MSME Day 2023. I am Ananya Banerjee Chatterjee, the R&D and Communication Officer and your host for today. Every year on June 27, Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Day is celebrated to honor their role in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for up to 90% of businesses, 60 to 70% of the employment, and they account for their half of global GDP according to the UN. The Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade is an organization based in India, South Africa, the United States, UK, with board and council members representing across the world. This year, we are celebrating the day with global perspective from various departments, ministries, chambers of commerce, and international organizations. We believe that global perspective have a significant impact on paving the way to the future. Coordinated global responses is key to MSME post-pandemic economic recovery. World MSME Day is an important opportunity to look at this topical issue in a very practical and policy-oriented way. In the global context of MSME, here we ask the rest of the world to work together to help MSME get through the current crisis and build up the ability to handle future shocks. We encourage GCPIT members to create an open, fair, non-discriminatory and predictable global trade and business environment that helps and encourage all MSMEs to participate in international trade and business. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Syed Mugrab, Chief Sustainability Officer, Evo Labs, PTV, Ltd. Mr. Syed is a sustainability and technologically veteran officer with over 30 years of proven experience in leading the change within organization to adopt technologies, businesses, process improvement, and stakeholder engagement to future-proof assets. He has played strategic roles in formulating sustainability and ESG framework and policies. He had implemented several management systems such as ISO 9001, 18001, 45001, 5501, and 21021 to overcome operational challenges, improve quality, and eliminate wastages. And the topic on which he will be sharing his valuable insights is international trade and investment opportunities of the country. Over to you, Mr. Syed.
Thank you, Ananya, for a great introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone here. I'm really delighted to be part of this program today, and I'm happy to share my thoughts. Today, I will be addressing at the capacity of Director General for GCPIT Singapore on international trade and investment opportunities here in Singapore. So as Ananya has mentioned, World MSME Day is celebrated annually on the 27th of June. It is to honor the role of MSME in achieving sustainable development goals across the world. And it is also to show support to MSMEs around the world to stress the importance of their presence in the context of economic development and environmental and social inclusivity. MSMEs are backbone in every country across the world in the context of employment and economic development, and which are accountable for almost 50% of GDP in ASEAN and 30% of exports in economic development. Having said that, MSME also going through a lot of huge challenges, and particularly during COVID as well, and compete against MNCs or other big companies in the dynamic changing environment, as well as in the economic and geopolitical situation. However, it also provides a lot of opportunity for MSME to innovate and accelerate new business models in order for them to be successful in a country where environment is more conducive, flexible, and of course, transparent. So in that context, I'm going to open up today to talk about MSME opportunities and international trade business opportunities here in Singapore. Let me start with what is Singapore all about. Singapore is a city-state located at the southern tip of Malay Peninsula, which is about 85 miles from the north of Equator. So Singapore spread around almost 733 square kilometers in terms of land area. And Singapore population is about 5.9 million as of 2023. And of course, Singapore is a multicultural ethnicity country, which comprise of majority of Chinese, Malay, Indians, and of course, others ethnic groups across the world, where people live here in Singapore. And if you look at historically, Singapore's global trade back in 2005 was about less than $100 billion. Today, it's almost stands at $400+ billion in 2022. So Singapore is also very diversified across multi-sectors, naming from manufacturing, biotechnology, fintech, and of course, financial other industries as well. So if you look at from in a country level, and it supports various key sectors, particularly starting with the financial sectors. Financial sector in Singapore is considered as one of the global center of excellence and offers various services from a banking through insurance and bonds, and as well as other financial elements. And particularly, finance sector offers in the context of asset management, wealth management, capital market, and as well as latest fintech technologies. The second key sector in Singapore is actually energy and infrastructure. Energy and infrastructure is a major opportunity for Singapore, given it is a huge presence of oil trading in Asia, as well as a pricing center for hub in Asia Pacific. And Singapore also has one of the largest oil refining capacities and hosts many multinational oil companies such as ExxonMobil, Chevron, Singapore Petroleum Corporation, and many others. It also developed well infrastructure for expertise as well as urban planning, transport, water, waste management, and smart city solutions. The third key sector in Singapore is biotechnology. Singapore is actually acting as a leading hub for biotechnology in Asia, with a strong focus in biomedical science, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, and of course, healthcare sectors. It has a very vibrant research and innovation ecosystem with world-class universities and partnership with various research institutions, hospitals, and companies to promote biotechnology. And particularly, it is possible with the conducive regulatory environment, skilled talented pool, as well as large market potential based out of Singapore. The last one I would like to address on the tourism and hospitality. Singapore being one of the most popular tourism destination around the world, and it almost attracts more than 18 million visitors in 2019. It also offers very diverse range of attractions from a cultural heritage, shopping, dining, entertainment, nature, sports, and last but not least, for business functions and large-scale trade shows. It also has a leading medical tourism destination with a high quality of healthcare facilities, advanced medical technology, as well as internationally accredited medical professionals. And the fifth one I want to address is about ICT, that is information and communication technology. Singapore being one of the hub for digital in ASEAN, and ultimately with the very strong ICT infrastructure, it absolutely supports growth of ICT within Singapore and ultimately grow to ASEAN level. This also being possible with the very strong policy from government sector, and a dynamic digital policy to support the growth in the sector. And Singapore also hosts large-scale international tech giants like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Huawei, and of course, Alibaba Cloud. And it equally supports thriving of startups with over 4,000 startups here in Singapore, focusing around fintech, blockchain, biotechnology, e-commerce, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. So the next, if you look at it, why Singapore can be very successful across multi-sectoral, and also it comes from various opportunities that Singapore creates, not only for MNCs and equally for MSMEs. For example, I would like to address three key areas here: tax incentives and grants. For business to succeed, it has to be a lot of incentivization, and grants are very important, and particularly for MSMEs. And in Singapore, various tax incentives, grants are offered, particularly in the context of corporate tax rebates, provides almost 25% rebate on tax payable for qualifying companies, and which also capping at almost $15,000 per year. And there are certain grants like a PSG, that is a Productivity Solutions Grant, provides almost up to 80% funding support for MSME companies to secure IT solutions which are pre-approved in the context of equipment and business processes. This helps companies to thrive and better equip themselves. There are other grants like a EDG, that is called Enterprise Development Grants, supports almost up to 70% of the funding for various activities from capability development, innovation, and venturing into overseas. That basically offers MSMEs to not only serve in Singapore market, and also they can expand into regional and global level. The second one is actually access to financing, because given MSMEs need a lot of financing support to run their day-to-day business and as well as the future growth. So Singapore creates a huge opportunity through different schemes. One of the schemes is actually called EFS, Enterprise Financing Scheme, provided through Singapore government backed loans for working capital, fixed asset, trade, projects, and venture debt purposes. Of course, in addition to that, there is a program called Singapore SME Go Digital Program, which helps SMEs to adopt a lot of digital solutions and ease of funding for digital adoption, which also been supported by Ministry of MAS, that is a Monetary Authority of Singapore, IFC, and UNDP, to launch a global program in the context of digital literacy and financial literacy. The third aspect of environment created in Singapore is business facilitation and regulation, which is very important for MSMEs to give opportunity to reach out to the larger scale of ecosystem. Where in Singapore, it has been simplified and streamlined processes, helps for companies to set up as well as to run the businesses in a simple manner. So there are different platforms are created to facilitate that. I would like to highlight few. One is about BizFile portal, allows entrepreneurs to register business online within 15 minutes. And Go Business platform provides one-stop portal for business to apply on multiple licenses and permits, as well as the third one, which is called PEP, that's a Pro Enterprise Panel, helps to review business feedback on regulatory issues and works with the government agencies to regulatory burdens and foster the pro-business environment for MSMEs. This kind of three-pronged approach helps MSMEs in Singapore grow locally and internationally. And if you look at in a bigger picture, in a country level, there are 263,900 companies established in Singapore. Over that, 99% are SMEs. And almost 3.5 million workforce in Singapore, where 72% of workforce are from MSMEs. Out of 400 over billion output in Singapore, 47% come from MSMEs. You can see that MSMEs has important role to play in shaping the Singapore's economy, environment, and future growth. And equally, in Singapore being the least corrupted country, And in a corruption perception index, Singapore being the highest ranking, that means that facilitate businesses to thrive with the lowest corruption and anti-money laundering, and ultimately in a very competitive business proposition for Singapore to thrive, and particularly for MSMEs to thrive. So in the context of trade policies and agreements, I would like to touch on few areas here. One is about tariff rates. Singapore is a free port and imposes no tariff on imports and exports. It also does not apply any non-tariff measures such as quotas, import licensing, or import subsidies. However, there are some levies are adopted for some of the products, such as alcoholic beverages, tobacco products, or motor vehicles, and petroleum products. This is to facilitate revenue generation as well as social policy purposes. The second one I would like to touch on, import and export regulations. Singapore has a very simple and efficient custom clearance processes, with most goods are cleared within minutes. It has a low administrative burden for traders with a minimal documentation requirement and no pre-shipment inspections. Singapore also applies WTO customs valuation agreement and does not use minimum import prices or reference prices. So this basically helps a lot of MSMEs to do business in a very conducive manner. The third one I would like to address on the incentives for international trade. Singapore offers various incentives to encourage international trade and investment, such as tax exemptions or reductions, grants, loans, guarantees, as well as free trade zones. These incentives are generally available to both domestic and foreign firms, and particularly also for MSMEs. So I think these three key criteria helps on various aspects of trade policies and agreements. So let me touch on 4 other key aspects which thrives the trade policies and agreements. One is actually the market access. So market access to the MSMEs are very important, and particularly in Singapore, with the preferential access to market and its partner countries, by eliminating or reducing tariff, quotas, and other barriers to trade. This ultimately helps MSMEs to grow. And ultimately, this also provides opportunity for exporting of their goods and services to across Southeast Asia and other countries. For example, under the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's called CPTPP, Singapore companies can enjoy duty-free access to 10 other markets, including Japan, Canada, Mexico, and Vietnam. The second area I would like to address on the rule of origin, Singapore's trade agreements provide flexible rules of origin that enable MSME to qualify for preferential treatment. What does it mean, rule of origin? It's a criteria used to determine the nationality of the product based on where it is produced or how much value is added in a country. So Singapore's trade agreement allow MSME to use different methods, such as change in tariff classification or specific product requirement to enhance their business opportunity in Singapore and outside of Singapore. The third one, trade facilitation. Besides business facilitation, trade facilitation plays a very important role, particularly in Singapore. The trade agreements facilitates in simplifying and harmonizing customs procedure, standards, and regulations. This almost reduces the time and cost of doing business across border and enhances efficiency and transparency for trade flows. For example, ASEAN Trade Goods Agreement, ATIGA, and Singapore traders can use ASEAN Trade Goods Certificate, that is ATIG, to facilitate their trade processes and claim preferential tariff treatment across ASEAN countries. So the last one, and particularly is very important in this today's environment, e-commerce and digital trade. With the digitalization and e-commerce is spanning across the world, and Singapore's trade agreements ultimately promote highly on e-commerce and digital trade by establishing rules and principles that supports MSME's growth in digital economy, and also helps to leverage on technology and innovation to access new markets, customers, and opportunity. For example, Singapore's Digital Economy Partnership Agreement, in short, it's called DEPA. It offers Singaporean e-commerce businesses can benefit from provisions such as non-discrimination of digital product, consumer protection, data flow, and digital identity. So this actually can see that these four key segments helps MSMEs to grow across the market. The last one I would like to address on the trade policy and agreements, three key areas: FTA, REI, and MTC. What is FTA? It's a foreign trade agreement where Singapore actually signed 20 FTAs with more than 30 trading partners, which covers almost 80% of the total trade, which you can imagine that how MSMEs can benefit because of such a benefit being provided through FTA. Due to FTA, it also helps MSMEs to collaborate with the partner countries by eliminating or reducing tariffs, quotas, and barriers to trade, particularly in e-commerce and digital trade, as I mentioned in the beginning. The second one I would like to address on the REI, that is Regional Economic Integration. Singapore is a founding member of ASEAN, that is Association for Southeast Asian Nations, which aims to create a single market and production base for region. Singapore is also a part of ASEAN Economic Community, that is in short called AEC, which aims to achieve a high degree of economic integration among 10 ASEAN member states. Singapore is also involved in other REI initiatives such as RCEP, called Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which is a mega regional trade agreement among 15 Asia-Pacific countries, and the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, that is APEC, which is a forum for 21 economies to promote free and open trade and investment in the region. The last one I would like to address on MTC, that is a multilateral trade cooperation. Singapore is a very strong supporter of MTC through rule-based multilateral trading system under the WTO, that is World Trade Organization, which provides a framework for trade liberalization and dispute settlement among 164 member countries. So this is exactly a great opportunity for MSMEs to, ride on this vehicle and explore and thrive. Singapore is also an active participant of MTC initiatives such as TFA, that is a Trade Facilitation Agreement, which aims to expedite the movement of release and clearance of goods across borders. The second one is on the Information Technology Agreement, that's called ITA, which eliminates tariffs on a wide range of IT products. Third one is very important, Joint Statement Initiative on E-commerce, which seeks to develop global rules for e-commerce. So as we move from a trade to investment climate, there are various opportunities in Singapore, and I would like to touch on few key areas. Singapore is used as one of the most prosperous and stable country in Asia with a highly developed market economy. And of course, Singapore is also very much open, transparent, and non-discriminatory trade policy, which helps MSMEs to thrive. Third one is a business-friendly environment in Singapore. Of course, supporting government policies and facilitate the establishment and operation of businesses here in Singapore. The fourth one enforces the anti-corruption policies and laws here, which ultimately helps a low corruption rate and helps MSMEs to operate more freely and transparently. The fifth one, Singapore being ranked actually second globally across 190 economies as a more competitive to do business and ease of doing business. The last but not least, of course, it has a various incentives to support or attract businesses here in Singapore and also to perform outside of Singapore. So in the investment climate point of view, there are a few other key areas I would like to touch on. One is about manufacturing sector. So in Singapore, almost 20 to 25% of GDP comes from manufacturing sector, where MSMEs can play an important role. It has a strong and diversified industrial base, starting from electronics, chemical, biomedical science, logistics, and transport and engineering. It also has a vibrant research and innovation ecosystem with world-class universities that helps MSMEs to tap into the knowledge base and research base to innovate and ultimately come with a new product and solutions to the local market and international markets. The second one, I would like to touch on financial services. Singapore being the hub for financial services on ASEAN and also for global spectrum, which opens up a huge opportunity for MSMEs to explore new business models. For example, it has a highly developed market economy, a stable political system, and a strong legal framework, and a strategic location in Asia. It also offers a wide range of services such as banking, insurance, asset management, wealth management, capital market, and fintech, which is the latest upgrowing technology. Singapore offers various incentives to attract investment in financial services through tax exemption or reduction, grants and loans. The third one I would like to address on the ICT, that is information and communication technology. So ICT is a growing sector in Singapore due to its digital hub in Asia. And ultimately, it also offers huge opportunity for MSMEs to thrive. The last one on the tourism and medical tourism aspect has a huge opportunity for health tech companies or health tech service providers to identify new markets locally in Singapore and also in Southeast Asian market. So here I would like to touch two key sectors and how the investments have been flown into MSMEs and MNC market. For example, like a manufacturing sector, almost according to EDB, that is Economic Development Board, attracted $17.2 billion fixed asset investment in 2020. It also will create 20,000 jobs in Singapore when it is fully accomplished by 2025. Majority of the income or investment addressed to the 80% of the Singapore manufacturing output, that is almost 372 billion market sector. The second one I would like to address on the ICT, that is information and communication technology, which heavily come from a government spending. Government aiming to spend almost $3.8 billion in ICT procurement, which really opportunity for MSME to really get into that sector and thrive it. And it also helps to transform digital services in Singapore's public and as well as business market. There are estimates that it will open up a lot of business opportunity as well as job opportunity for Singaporeans and global market as well. So MSMEs can play a very vital role in ICT sector by providing innovative solutions, services, and of course, grow together with the digital economy. As we move towards moving from investment climate, I would like to touch on what are the supports and development opportunity for SMEs here in Singapore. Particularly SMEs, there is a program called Financial Empowerment, that's called SFE. This is an open financial education and action program for MSMEs in Asia and Africa, launched by MAS, that is Monetary Authority of Singapore, in conjunction with the IFC, International Financial Corporation, and UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program. This is to help MSMEs to build foundational digital financial literacy skills to gain knowledge and good understanding of cross-border financial services in relevant to MSMEs to help them thrive in the post-pandemic digital economy. The second program is support for SMEs. This is also a package driven by MAS in association with the Banks of Singapore, ABS, as well as FHAS, that is Financial House Association of Singapore, to help ease the financial strain on SMEs arising from the need for principal repayments and of course on their loans during pandemic, which has been a very highly rewarded and accepted by SMEs during the COVID period. These measures include deferring payment of principal on SME loans, lowering interest rates for the SME loans, as well as extending loan tenure. The third one is a Tech SG program, which is to help SMEs to get more tech support as well as tech professionals around the world. This has been driven by EDB, that is Economic Development Board of Singapore, and Enterprise Singapore, that is ESG, in 2019 to support fast-growing tech companies to establish and expand their presence in Singapore. This program provides streamlined access to work visas for core team members, connections to business networks, as well as government agencies. The last one on the GIP, that is a Global Investor Program. This is a program administered by EDB that offers permanent residency status to eligible global investors who invest at least $2.5 million in new or existing Singapore-based businesses, or a GIP fund that invests in Singapore-based companies. So this is also an opportunity for MSME to tap into this kind of incentive programs and global programs to thrive. Some of the key initiatives run by EDG, that is Enterprise Development Program, on three key areas. One is the core capabilities from a branding, business strategy, financial management, human capital development, service excellence. Second one is on the innovation and productivity, that is from automation perspective, process redesign, and ultimately product redevelopment. The last one actually market access, M&A, merger and acquisition, market outreach, and of course expanding to the other markets beyond Singapore. So these are the programs run by Enterprise Singapore, and funds are given to the MSMEs from a minimum of 50% to the maximum of 90% grants through different opportunities. So here I would like to share some case studies which are successful MSMEs here in Singapore. For example, like a Richfield Security and Safety Management Private Limited. This is a security company that integrate innovative technology into their operations, such as video analytics, facial recognition, and drones. This actually helped them to boost productivity during particularly shortage of manpower during pandemic. This also provide training and upskilling to their employees to enhance their capabilities and service quality. And this company actually secured 27th Enterprise of E50 Awards in 2021, which has been recognized as a top enterprise that have contributed to the economic development of Singapore. The second company I would like to touch on an engineering company, which is Alloy, which is a welding and metal fabrication company that stays ahead of consumer trends and by diversifying into sustainable products for personal and environmental safety, as well as those used by wind energy fabricators. They also leverage on digital platforms and e-commerce to reach out to the new market and customers. The third company I would like to address on Atracon Overseas Private Limited. This is a construction company that received a sustainability special mention for its innovative construction methods, optimizing use of material, particularly on the concrete. So this has helped to reduce waste and enable environmentally sustainable construction projects here in Singapore. They also invest in research and development to improve their engineering solutions and capabilities. The last company I would like to address called Cali, C-A-L-I. This is a restaurant chain, operates in Singapore, but actually revolutionized the F&B industry by adopting cloud kitchen, robotics, and AI, artificial intelligence. They use robots to prepare food and serve food, as well as they use AI to analyze customer preferences and feedback. They also use cloud kitchen to reduce the rental cost and expand their delivery network. The fifth company I would like to address, Alt Chocolate. It is a chocolate manufacturer that has developed its own line of chocolate products using premium ingredients and innovative recipes here in Singapore. They also export their products over 45 countries and have established a strong brand presence in the global market. So one of the key company which I would like to address here, AEM. AEM Holdings actually is a semiconductor test solution company here in Singapore, and they have expanded from Singapore to other markets and garnered almost $500 million revenue in 2020 through their expansion into ASEAN market. They also secured award in E50 in 2021. They also been recognized as top enterprise that have contributed to Singapore's economic development and of course job growth as well as innovation. So what are the investment opportunities available in Singapore? So there are three key areas we can touch on. One is about fintech, Second one is a biotechnology, and last but not least, tourism and hospitality. Particularly, fintech is a fast-growing sector, which almost garnered more than $4 billion investment in 2021, and which is almost up from 50% compared to 2020. Biotechnology, which is Singapore being the hub in Asia Pacific for biotechnology, secured more than $2.8 billion in 2020 in the context of biomedical science, pharmaceutical, medical devices, as well as healthcare services. On tourism and hospitality sector, with Singapore being the tourism hub in one of the tourism hub in globally, and also highly visited country in ASEAN, so secured more than $12 billion in 2019 for hospitality development, hotel development, as well as medical tourism development here in Singapore. So two other sectors in the investment point of view, I would like to address that fintech and biotechnology. Fintech in the three contexts: investment incentivization, regulation, and support. For example, in investment incentivization, Singapore offers a huge opportunity through many platforms. One is called FSTI, that is Financial Sector Technology and Innovation Scheme, which provides support and opportunity for investors to invest on fintech technologies, which also huge opportunity for MSME to tap into such funding for them to grow. Equally, on the biotechnology, there are opportunity on the investment and regulatory framework, which is very convenient and conducive, and ultimately government support through innovation or industry partnership office that plays a very important role for fostering that ecosystem for organizing events such as Bio Singapore conference, facilitating partnership and co-creation among local and foreign players. So this ultimately creates opportunity for SMEs, that is small to medium enterprises, to expand and operate here in Singapore, ultimately outside of Singapore as well. So in summary, I would like to say that Singapore being the most business-friendly, competitive, innovative, and transparent environment for SMEs, incentivization, grants, and access to finance to facilitate business setup and growth and expansion. Global and regional factors such as WTO, REI, FTA, MTC helps MSMEs to grow ultimately. Singapore future towards digital economy, green economy, and care economy, which actually opens up a lot of opportunity for MSMEs to play a vital role towards building a sustainable future for everyone. Last but not least, a conducive environment which offers diversification, flexibility, transparency in the context of economic, environmental, and social inclusivity. I believe that it opens up for MSMEs to really come into a market and play an important role to grow. And because Singapore being almost retaining the top world business environment across last 15 years. So with this, I would like to say thank you. I also want to say one quote from Richard Branson: a big business always starts with a small. So literally MSMEs can be a small, but they can play an important role given their contribution to the 70% of employment or 44% of GDP here in Singapore or any other market you can look at it. Thank you so much.